It is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026, and somehow the robots did make the call sheet on time. You're listening to KoiCast, the show that keeps feeding the machine prompts, workflows, and a tiny bit of chaos just to see what comes back. I'm Hunter.
And I'm Riley. Happy Thursday, Internet. Also, this episode was assembled by a small parade of AI tools working very hard behind the curtain, which means if anything gets a little weird, congrats, you are hearing the experiment in public.
Honestly, that's the vibe. And today, we've got a really fun stack, because the big headline is video getting dangerously close to actual campaign utility. Higgsfield dropped Cinema Studio 3.0, Google rolled out Veo 3.1 Lite, and then sneaking in from the audio side, Meituan open-sourced LongCat AudioDiT, which is a much nerdier name than the impact it could have.
Yeah, the names are giving hacker cave, but the implications are giving, oh cool, your whole content pipeline just got rearranged. Also, I need to say it, people on X are already yelling that Higgsfield is Hollywood quality. Which, everybody relax. We do this every time.
We do. The sane move for a marketing team is not, hey, let's replace the entire production budget with prompts and victory laps. It's, what's the first test where failure is survivable? Start with a product explainer, social cut-down, mood film, concept ad, something where the question is not, can it make a pretty clip, but can it hold brand identity across shots, can it stay on message, and can your team actually revise it without the whole thing melting down?
Thank you. Because pretty is cheap now. Persuasive is still expensive. Like, I've seen gorgeous AI video that says absolutely nothing. It's all vibes, no conversion. Just slow motion fabric, dramatic lighting, impossible cheekbones, and then the brand message is somewhere in witness protection.
That's exactly it. The first test should be less about replacing a shoot and more about replacing the pre-production pain. Can it help you get to storyboard, visual directions, alternate concepts, and draft scenes faster? If yes, great. Then you decide whether the final asset should be AI native, hybrid, or traditionally produced.
Wait, hold up, because that's the part people skip. They think the win is final render. Sometimes the win is actually faster creative decision-making. Like, if Higgsfield can give your team 3 campaign directions before lunch instead of 3 days from now, that is already real value.
Yep. And from the launch materials, the big promise is stronger character consistency, more grounded lighting and motion, and more director-style control over multi-shot scene building. That matters because the annoying thing with earlier AI video was you could get one cool shot, maybe 2, and then the main character would come back looking like their own cousin.
Or their skin tone changed, or the jacket changed, or suddenly there were 7 fingers holding a phone that doesn't exist. Very haunted ad tech.
Very haunted. But even if Higgsfield pushes quality up, the next bottleneck inside a normal organization is probably not the model. It's approvals, legal, brand, compliance, whoever owns risk. Because the second the visuals feel campaign-ready, the conversation stops being, can AI do this, and becomes, should we trust this in public?
I'd argue brand gets spicy first. Legal is the final boss, sure, but brand is the mini-boss who blocks the door. Because cinematic is subjective. One exec sees premium, another sees, why does this look like a perfume ad directed by an algorithm having a breakup?
That is painfully accurate. And the more realistic these tools get, the more your internal review stack matters. You need style guides, approved references, a review path, and a human who can say, this is on brand, this is off, this is too glossy, this is too uncanny. The durable advantage is not just access to the model, it's having taste encoded into the workflow.
Taste as infrastructure. I like that. Put it on a hoodie. Because if you don't have that, then congrats, you've automated volume. You have not automated good judgment.
Which brings us to Google's Veo 3.1 Lite. This one is less flashy, but honestly maybe more important for operators. It's positioned as a lower-cost, faster video model, it's available through the Gemini API and Vertex AI, and that tells me this is a distribution move. This is video generation becoming a programmable layer.
Exactly. It's not the red carpet story, it's the pipes story. And pipe stories are usually how the market actually changes. Like, no one writes fan fiction about cheaper infrastructure, but cheaper infrastructure is how tools get embedded into real products.
Budgets beat taste more often than people want to admit. Not forever, but early on, absolutely. If a team can generate lots of short test creatives, product demos, localization variants, or ad concepts at a much lower cost, adoption moves fast, especially when it's API accessible.
Yeah, and for marketers, that means Veo Lite is not just, wow, AI video. It's, oh wow, now this can sit inside campaign ops. You can have a workflow where one brief turns into multiple video variants, maybe different hooks, maybe different audience angles, maybe different languages. That's not a moonshot, that's a spreadsheet with feelings.
That's a very good description of modern marketing. And I don't think the right way to frame Veo Lite is creative breakthrough first, it's production efficiency first, with a side effect of changing the creative process. Because once the cost of making a decent draft drops, teams start redesigning the whole pipeline around iteration.
Gateway drug energy.
Exactly. First it's, let's test a few generated clips, then it's, maybe we should connect brief intake to script drafts, to scene prompts, to approvals, to publishing metadata, and suddenly half the content pipeline is rebuilt around generated video whether anyone intended that or not.
Which is kind of what we've been talking about lately across all these launches. Lyria, Runway's multi-shot stuff, open voice models, Gemini Live workflows, all of it points the same direction. Audio, video, voice, they're becoming workflow layers, not just party tricks.
Right. And when that happens, the conversation shifts from what model is best to where does human review live? Because the failure points are still the same. AI video falls apart where persuasion needs specificity. Hands-on products, precise text on screen, emotional nuance, cause and effect, human performance that feels intentional instead of dreamy.
Yes, the classic AI problem. It can make a beautiful woman staring out a rainy train window, but can it show a believable customer unboxing a skincare product, reading the label correctly, smiling like a normal person, and not turning the cap into abstract sculpture? Sometimes no.
And for marketers, that sometimes no is the entire job. If you're selling, explaining, demonstrating, reassuring, or complying, those weak spots matter a lot. Which is why I think the sweet spot right now is concepting, premium background visuals, mood-led storytelling, top-of-funnel creative, and hybrid production where humans still control keyframes or product truth.
I agree, but I'll push you a little, Hunt. I think social teams are going to get bolder than that. Not reckless, but bolder, because audiences already tolerate weirdness on social if the idea is strong. So if the concept hits and the pacing is good, a little AI wobble is not always fatal. Sometimes it even helps because it feels internet native.
That's fair, context matters. Social has a much higher tolerance for strangeness than a product detail page or a national brand spot. So yes, for creators and fast-moving brands, these tools can absolutely punch above their weight sooner.
And then there's the sleeper story, which is LongCat AudioDiT. This one is way less glamorous at first glance, but honestly may be the most important for teams scaling voice. The release describes high-fidelity text-to-speech in waveform latent space, strong zero-shot voice cloning benchmarks, and an architecture meant to reduce some older bottlenecks. Translation, voice AI keeps getting less fake-sounding and more usable.
This is the kind of infrastructure release non-research teams ignore until it suddenly powers half the stack they use. Better synthetic audio unlocks faster dubbing, localized voiceovers, synthetic spokespeople, podcast cleanup, interactive voice systems, training content, support flows. Audio has quietly become core workflow infrastructure.
Also, tech history note, this is how it always happens. The shiny consumer layer gets the headlines, but the deeper architecture changes the market later. Kinda like broadband versus flashy websites back in the day. One looks sexy, the other rewires what's possible.
That's a great analogy. And with open source audio, the question for enterprises is not, is open source morally pure and therefore automatically the answer? It's, do we have the people and governance to run this responsibly? Because open source gives flexibility and leverage, but it also gives you the privilege of inheriting operations problems.
Yes, open source is not a free puppy, it is a dragon egg. Very cool. Also, maybe expensive, maybe dangerous, maybe amazing if you know what you're doing.
Perfectly said. Open source genuinely helps when you need control, customization, lower cost at scale, or on-prem needs. It becomes a trap when the team romanticizes control but doesn't have security, model ops, evaluation, or review processes. Then you've just self-hosted confusion.
Which is why OpenClaw keeps coming up in these conversations too. Because everybody wants agentic workflows with memory and scheduling and orchestration and all that. But the real question is not whether the agent can do stuff. It's whether the system around it keeps things useful instead of chaotic.
Exactly. Useful autonomy is narrow, well-scoped, and reviewable. Bad autonomy is, please enjoy debugging your own replacement at 2 in the morning. The strong use case right now is repeatable work. Monitoring, summaries, task routing, first drafts, asset coordination, not full, unsupervised brand decision-making.
So if we zoom all the way out, what should a pro AI but not delusional team believe right now?
I'd say this. AI creates durable advantage when it shortens feedback loops, multiplies creative exploration, and removes repetitive production steps without removing human judgment. It does not create durable advantage just because you posted a wild demo on X. The moat is workflow, evaluation, brand memory, and taste.
Mine would be, stop asking whether AI can make content. Obviously it can. Start asking whether your team can direct it, edit it, approve it, and ship with confidence. Because the gap between demo magic and business value is still very, very human-shaped.
That's the headline. Video's getting cheaper, audio's getting deeper, automation is getting more composable, but humans are still doing the deciding.
As they should. The machine can cook, but somebody still has to taste the sauce.
And on that deeply important culinary note, thanks for hanging with us on KoiCast this Thursday, April 2nd.
Thanks for listening. Go check out koi.com/resources for AI news and updates, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next round of useful chaos.
Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, keep your prompts sharp, keep your approvals tighter, and we'll catch you later.
Later.